The following is a production of Mosaic in Whittier, California, a community of faith, hope, and love.
How many of you remember this movie, A River Runs Through It? Really? Okay. Raise your hand really high if you saw that film. Okay. And I think one of the best parts about that film, it came out in the 90s. Wait a minute, let me ask this question. How many of you were born in the 90s? Yeah. Hey, bro, could you maybe take that mic down so they're hitting the screen when you have a chance? There. Whoa. I say here, it comes up there. So this is it's a great film. I think if you're older, you appreciate it because it follows the family through a few decades. And one of the best parts about this film is that you get to see a 7-year-old Joseph Levitt. Gordon Levitt? Yeah, you get to see him as a 7-year-old in this film. Go ahead and say, "Aww." He has a cute little Dave Boyd bowl cut. Norman MacLean is the author of the book, A River Runs Through It. It's narrated by Robert Redford, who's uncredited in the film. And it's a beautiful story about a family and their fly fishing expeditions and how they live and process life. So we're going to jump. I pointed this out because there's going to be a river theme in the talk this morning. And I'm going to take you briefly through Joshua 3, part of Joshua 4, as we continue the series of the book, and I take you through stories that have had a significant impact on the way that I conduct my life and the way that we kind of do church, and I'm hoping to pass that along to all of you. But in addition, the process of this story has been to question and wonder, what are those barriers in my life that prevent me from stepping into those places that are healthier and that are more correct for me, right for me, the places where I can finally become the human being that I was meant to be. Instead of living in a place where I'm looking or longing to become something that I just can't seem to get to. It might be a life-dominating habit, it might be something really dark and weird, it just might be fear of stepping into something because of, it's unusual, it's unknown. Even if it's good, I don't know I want to do this because it's just something different. In this particular film, though, just to jump back to this, the whole part of the film is this idea of how the river was critical to the entire story of the family in this particular author's life. And so it is with the River Jordan in the history of the story of Israel. So let's jump into Joshua 3, and I'll stop and pause along the way and share a few amazing insights that would be startling, the insights that we have today. Early in the morning, Joshua and all the Israelites set out before Shittim and went to Jordan, where they camped before crossing over. So you have to picture a river. It's about, by the way, I don't know what you picture when you picture the River Jordan, but it's murky right now. It's a little funky because it's dammed up near the Sea of Galilee to take care of the water needs in present-day Israel. Israel is a desert like Southern California. Southern California is beginning to remember that it's a desert. We can't suck the water out of Juneau Lake and everywhere else anymore. So without rain, we're in trouble. But the Jordan Valley is similar to that respect, and it's a desert area. The Jordan River, unlike the Nile that we talked about a few weeks ago, it's not lush and green and farmland. It's not. The Jordan River runs through a crater. Rock, it's just rock, and any kind of soil is there. It's just sediment from the river, but it's not a farming environment nearby with water at all. And so it's about at the most 70 feet across. So that's 20, 25 yards. So a quarter of a football field at its widest. In some places it's 4 or 5 feet deep. Not much else. Anybody been to the Jordan River? Nobody? No one cares enough to go to the river? Oh, there's a couple of you there. You did, okay. Did you do the baptism of Jesus? Okay. Yeah, so there's a traditional spots where Jesus was baptized. You can go there now. There's walking and ramps to go into the water there. I'm sure it's very significant and powerful. I've never been. But they are camping at the Jordan, across the Jordan. So if you were in the back and you could see this, you're looking across the river at one of its widest points. And then a little bit beyond that, let's say Southeast Whittier, Santa Fe Springs, is Jordan. And it would stand out because what would be the dominating characteristic of Jericho? The walls. Right, okay. So that's what's happening. So they're there for 3 days, just looking at that city. After 3 days, the officers went throughout the camp giving orders to the people. When you see the Ark of the Covenant of the Lord your God, and the Levitical priests carrying it, you are to move out from your positions and follow it. In other words, take up your tents, pitch them, roll them up, pack up your carts, your crates, load up the minivan, we're going. Then you will know which way to go since you've never been this way before, but keep a distance of about 2,000 cubits between you and the ark, don't go near it. That's maybe like 3,000 feet. So that's more than a few football fields. It's quite a distance, and you have to feel the sense of what this represents. And I think for us, especially since we're American, this just weirds us out. The fact that there's a position, a role, or a thing that is so significant and holy or important that you can't go near it. And you live in the West, we try to flatline everything and make everyone equal, and which is a myth. We're not equal. The idea is, well, that was a loaded statement. I bet you somebody's waiting for me to explain that. Yeah, I'm not going to. The point is that you can call me later. It really matters to you. Hey, send me another angry email. That'll be okay. So then but you have to understand that box, and if you saw the movie, you know what happens if you're disrespectful to the box, the Raiders of the Lost Ark. You can't look, you melt, right? So you can't just willy-nilly go up to the Ark of the Covenant, because this is the physical representation of God among the people. And so there is a lot of respect played to that box. All right, don't go near it. But when you see it moving, once you hit 3,000 feet, then follow where it goes. All right, next slide. So Joshua told the people, now, hey, listen, consecrate yourselves, get ready for this, for tomorrow the Lord will do amazing things among you. So Joshua said to the priests. So he gives this to the entire nation, about 1.5 million, 2 million people. Then he pulls aside the priests, people in charge of the spiritual care of this large group. Listen, take up the Ark of the Covenant and pass on ahead of the people. So it was originally in the middle of this huge camp. Then they start to pull out from the middle up to the front of the people, and then they're supposed to get about 3,000 feet in front of them. So they took it up, went ahead of them. Then the Lord said to Joshua, listen, today I will begin to exalt you in the eyes of all Israel, so that they may know that I am with you as I was with Moses. So, hey, Joshua, I'm going to give you some street cred here. You're going to be this amazing guy. People don't know that you're the guy that I've selected. So I'm going to make sure people know that I'm with you like I was with Moses. Tell the priests who carry the Ark of the Covenant, when you reach the edge of the Jordan's waters, go and stand in the river. Now that doesn't sound like a big deal. Well, how's that going to show everybody that I'm with you? Go to the water's edge and then go stand in the river. Oh my gosh, God's with Joshua. Well, there's a reason why that's significant. And it would be meaningful if we had been there, and we're coming to the point. So Joshua says to the Israelites, come here and listen to the words of the Lord your God. This is how you will know that the living God is among you, and that he will certainly drive out all these people. See the Ark of the Covenant of the Lord of all the earth. And if you're noticing something here, well, it's hard to believe I make a living out of public speaking. When you look at this, look at who he's saying the box is representing. It's the Lord of all the earth. Now, that still might not strike you, except to say, at one point, Joshua is saying, this is God who owns it all. He has claims on everything. Sometimes folks want to know, they want to ask a philosophical question, or an ethical question, or a business question, or as a follower of Jesus, what's your take on this? What would you? I get that those things matter, and I believe God has a position, you might say, on these issues. But he's primarily a person, not a philosophy. He's not a position, he's a person. And so if he is, quote, Lord of all the earth, then there is something he has to say to everything. From fashion to music to crepes, I mean the whole kit and caboodle. I know you think I'm being flippant, I mean that. I think he has something involved in everything. You know, often, Lily will tell you, if you've been out to dinner, you might have heard me say this. I'm grateful that God made spices, aren't you? We could be eating, have you eaten an Irish breakfast? Oh my gosh. Those people need to find out about tomatoes or salsa or oregano or something. The whole earth. That's who this box represents. It's the Lord of all the earth. Will go into the Jordan ahead of you, and now then choose 12 men from the tribes of Israel, one from each tribe. Because remember, Israel is one big nation made up of 12 tribes. And as soon as the priests who carry the ark of the Lord, again, the Lord of all the earth, set foot in the Jordan, its waters flowing downstream will be cut off and stand up in the heat. Hold on a second. That's a little unusual. That's what the establishment is. So they come to the river's edge, and once their foot touches the water, that big Jewish toe hits the water, boom! That water's going to... And so what does that sound like? Water's bunching up in a heap and stopping. Red Sea. Awesome. Correct. Keep going. I'll keep going. So when the people broke camp across the Jordan, the priests carrying the Ark of the Covenant went ahead of them. Now the Jordan is at flood stage all during the harvest. And that's the key to this particular story. If you're talking about walking in water that's 3-4 feet deep, with a gentle slope in, but as soon as that Hebrew toe hits the water, boom, it bunches up, still pretty amazing. But the thing is that it's more than that. When it says that the water's at flood stage, it's high and very fast moving. The Jordan River, to this day, is still one of the fastest moving rivers for its size. It starts 1,500 feet above sea level at the base of Mount Hermon, if you're making notes. By the way, if you have a map in the back of your Bibles, this might be really fascinating, or if you're nerdy like I am, looking at maps. It starts near Mount Hermon at the base, 1,500 feet above sea level, and Mount Hermon goes another 8,500 feet. So 1,500 feet above sea level, and it stops 1,400 feet below sea level. So it's almost 3,000 feet in 200 miles, because of the way it meanders around. Straight shot, 65 to 80 miles, depending on how you measure straight. So it's fast. And there's no real gentle slopes. See, it's almost like once you step into the water, you're in. It's not like, it's not like at the Arroyo's pool where we're baptizing people, right? That's not at all what's going on. You hear it's whitewater rafting river time. And it's step over the edge and then you're in the water. So if you're carrying this box with overlaid with gold and the golden lid, the golden angels, and the whole, it's a little heavy, right? Gold's heavy. Girls, if someone's giving you a ring and says it's gold but it feels tinny, they're lying to you. Gold is heavy. So when you step in, you're carrying this box. The children of Israel are going to be impressed, but those priests got to be all in. I wonder if one of them is saying, hey bro, I went first last time. You, by all means, please take the lead. I'm right behind you. So those guys, one's on the right, one's on the left. And once they step in, they're fully committed. Because either God is lying, telling the truth, that's it. If it doesn't stop, they're going downstream. Awkward. Yet, as soon as the priests who carry the ark reached the Jordan and their feet touched the water's edge, the water from the upstream stopped flowing. It piled up in a heap a great distance away in a town called Adam, in the vicinity of that place, where the water flowing down to the Sea of Arabah, that is the Dead Sea, was completely cut off, so the people crossed over opposite Jericho. Now, man, that would have been an amazing scene. Now, how many years has it been, bonus round, since this Red Sea event? 40 plus. How many people are still alive from the original crossing of water like that? No. Yeah. So everyone had to kind of get this new experience. They knew their granddad or their father had it, but they had never had the experience. They heard the story. We crossed the Red Sea, and I know, man, told us. And because of your weird number over here in the desert, thanks a lot, buddy. So that would have been pretty remarkable. And Joshua would have been like, wow, Josh, you're the guy. And the priests who carried the Ark of the Covenant of the Lord stopped in the middle of the Jordan and stood on dry ground while all Israel passed by until the whole nation had completed crossing on dry ground. End of story. Let me stop here. Yeah, I'll do that. The first part, before I go into the next part of the story, I want to just kind of give you some obvious things to consider. First of all, in the scripture, the River Jordan is unlike any other river in a sacred world religion. It's not like the Ganges in India, it's not like the Nile to the Egyptians, because the Jordan is not sacred. Water or a river means it's a barrier. It's a barrier that you have to get through or cross over to the next chapter of your life. It's always that easy. But it's a powerful metaphor throughout the Bible. It's like 180 times in the Old Testament, about 20 times in the New Testament. But it's never this thing like, oh my gosh, I'm going to go to the Jordan where I wash this water, I'm going to be cleansed. No, that's not what happens there. A couple of times my wife and I have been to India, you see people, we were staying at a place near the Krishna River, a very powerful scene, and watching people go into the river to wash away their sins by dunking in the water. And it reminded me of that universal need of all mankind, all humanity, that it feels this thing that there's something different between me and the transcendent, or me and the spiritual realm, or me and my God. I have to get clean before I can approach them. And so they washed in the river, but that's not the mentality of the Jordan then or now. It's not sacred. Jericho they could see is a beautiful city. It's green, it has mild temperatures, it's unlike the desert that they just came out of. And so they can see, it's so close, they can touch it almost. But I got this river in front of me till I get to that place. Do you feel the metaphor? Do you sometimes have those moments in your life? I can see where I could be, I can see who I can become, but I have this thing here that's blocking my way. If this thing wasn't here, if that person wasn't there, if I didn't have this goofy job, if I didn't have that boss, that situation, I'd only gone to school, which I didn't go to school, if I lost weight, gained weight. What if that barrier was meant for you to experience God in a way that you can finally have confidence and trust that this actually is true? So let me ask you a question. Be honest. Don't answer, because then you're going to be all, it's going to get weird. Have you ever had that moment where you wonder, is this a bunch of baloney? Am I believing something that really isn't true? How is this any better than the Kiwanis? Or they don't have to get up to go on Sundays anyway. They can, is this any different? We're just trying to be good people, aren't we? Isn't it about being nice, doing good things? No. It's not about being nice or just being good. Listen, if you're, I'll make this suggestion. If you're trying to be good luck. Really, I'm getting someone shaking their head. Yeah, when you try to be good, you alone become your rescuer, your savior, your redeemer, and it never works. We do need a mystical, spiritual regeneration. Some people call it being born again. But even then, there's work. So if you signed up for the Easy Street thing, and having been a salesman for so many years, I know what I'm being sold. There are people that talk about Jesus like it's Head and Shoulders or pimple cream, and like it's going to solve all your problems. It doesn't do that, right? It solves a big problem. You're connected to your Savior, your Creator, for the first time. But then there's quite a bit of self-work that occurs. For what? It's healing. It's restorative. All right. Let me go back to the river here for a second. So Jericho represents that place that they could be the promised land. It's the life. Jesus talks about, I don't come to condemn people. I came to give life and to give it really abundantly. And I wonder if some of you are not unlike where I was, where I thought, man, if I become a Christian, I was a teenager. I'm just trying to think it through, trying to weigh the cost. I got to give up having fun. My sense of humor goes out the window. I got to dress like an idiot apparently. Some of you are thinking that right now. But the pastor that I had was a guy. This was the 70s, so. But even for the 70s, it was maroon. It was maroon polyester bell bottoms. Come on. Come on, with a bow tie and, oh my God, I'm thinking, oh my God, but man, that's my cross. I'm going to cross the bear? Yeah, man. That's what I have to do, okay? I know some of you think I'm going to have to give up good music or food or fun, or, it's not that. So, but the Jordan gets its reputation from this story here, actually. All right, let's read the rest of the scripture. And there it is. Now, when the whole nation had finished crossing the Jordan, choose 12 men from among the people, one from each tribe, tell them to take up 12 stones from the middle of the Jordan. That's kind of a cool thing. Cross the river. Hey, about the halfway point, when it was flood season, pick up some of those big river rocks from right where the trees are standing, carry them over with you, put them down at the place where you stay tonight. Go to the next thing. And the next slide. There we are. So Joshua called together the 12 men he had appointed from the Israelites, one from each tribe. He said to them, hey, listen, go before the ark of the Lord your God into the middle of the Jordan. Each of you is to take up a stone on his shoulder, according to the number of the tribes of the Israelites, to serve as a sign among you. And in the future, when your kids ask you, hey, what's with these stones? What do they mean? Tell them that the flow of the Jordan was cut off before the ark of the covenant of the Lord. When it crossed the Jordan, the waters of the Jordan were cut off. And these stones are to be a memorial to the people of Israel forever. Now, if you were here from the beginning, we talked about this. This is the standing stone culture that goes on in the Middle East. This is one of those, look, we do this in our own culture. We have a memorial of a particular battle, a war hero. You know this if you've been to Washington, D.C., maybe were impacted by the Vietnam veteran, Vietnam Memorial, statues, plaques. That's what this is. That's all that this is. But it's extremely powerful. A couple of years ago, I was at a courthouse. Mistakes were made. And the point is that there was a plaque there downtown. Silly officer. But at any rate, he's just trying to get his quota, man. Brothers always be impressed by the man. Anyway, so after the incident, I was walking out of the courthouse, and I noticed there was a plaque. Apparently, Billy Graham's first ever evangelistic event happened there in LA. Happened at that court, on the block where the courthouse was. And it's just this little 8.5 by 11. It's very nondescript. I thought, wow. And it made me stop and think about what that might have been like. A young skinny guy in a baggy suit, preaching and telling people about Jesus. Man, that must have been something, It's kind of like what this is. But see, here's the thing. What it was meant to do was to pass on the story and the legacy to the generation that had not seen it themselves. To give them confidence that God would still do this for them when the time would come. How many of you remember an old film, Helen Mirren, Gable Byrne, called Excalibur? 1903? And Merlin said this, it's always stuck, back in 78, that the curse of men is to forget. You can remember every horrible, nasty thing that's happened to you. We have to work at being grateful to remember the good things. Correct? You can remember when your parents let you down. You can't remember a time maybe when they got up in the morning to make sure that you had something to eat and went to work. Follow? And this is what those standing stones do. It's almost as if God goes, I know you have a tendency to forget. I know you will sometimes think that I don't care. So this pile of rocks will be a memorial to realize that when it gets weird, when you're overwhelmed, when it gets scary, when it's creepy, when you think that I don't care about you and I'm dangling, these amazing things that you can't have in front of your life, understand that I will go before you and make a way. Especially when it seems hard. Especially when it seems like it's not going to happen. Because I care for you. Because I love you. You can't change that. So what's your memorial? What's your reminder? What's your marker? Some of you wear a cross or a crucifix. You have a sense of, oh, this reminds me to pray. Perhaps, and maybe some of you have metaphor like, well, it's gone over my heart. I want to remember that. Or, it's some of us like myself. I'm a former Roman Catholic. I have different rosaries that I still keep once in a while. Some of you have a thing in your house that's a plaque. It's painted of a lighthouse. It could be, I don't know. When you got this thing, or you put this thing up, and it becomes a memorial or a reminder. That's right, God is good. Some of you have maybe it's a verse, a promise. You have it in your car. I've seen some people tattoo it on their arms. One of the ones that I have seen that really was kind of cool was, I am my beloved and he is mine. His band over me is love. So I'm going to tell you mine. It's a little, you're going to get a full story, not just the pieces. It'll take a few moments. So before I met Lilia, actually I had just met her, had a moment where in hindsight this strategy wasn't really smart, but I was 20, what the hell did I know? And just, it was a moment of self-loathing and hating. So I decided it made sense to break my hands, which is what I did. Then I couldn't drive home because I had a stick shift. They were bent, gnarled up, and it's all self-inflicted. So then I have to have somebody drive me home. Well, actually, to the emergency room. Then I have to think of a way to get out of a 72-hour hold. Some of you know what that is. So I maybe made a stupid joke to break the tension, which was my tension. My hands are soaking in 2 bowls of bloody iodine. Am I ever going to play the piano? The doctor looked at me and, yes, with therapy, we're going to do the surgery, we're going to do that. It's awesome, because I never could play before. He looked at me and says, you just got out of a 72-hour hold, young man. Yes. Hands are full of blood. I had stormed out of my parents' house a few months earlier, told them I didn't need them, they can go to hell. And then they had to clean me, feed me. It was embarrassing. Surgery happened. I went to work. My job, for some reason, didn't fire me. And I had metal pins sticking out because they were set in place. It was nuts. I had to keep one elevated, one was just, it was a mess. Then the pins came out and they set crooked and they were going to break them again and they decided to do something else. It was, when they tell you don't remove your casts or don't change things, follow the advice. They're doctors, they know what they're doing. I thought, what did they know? Then, after it began to get healed, what would happen every cold season, fall and winter, all the scars would be blue and purple. It was embarrassing. I would actually make up stories. Hey, dude, what the hell happened to your hand? Hell happened to my hand is what happened. I would, oh, yeah, you should see the other guy, make a joke and try to get out of it or something, or, something, because, I took a brick and a wall and just broke my hand. I felt I deserved it. Just hated my life, hated who I was. But then there came a day when I knew something had shifted, but not quite. And some of you know the story of my wife and I, and the horrible human being. It wasn't until my late 20s, almost a whole decade, that I was finally set free from this violence and anger, attacking strangers on the streets, stabbing people. It was a mess. The whole self-violence was just an expression of the turmoil happened on the inside. And then I married Lily, and I had kids, and I brought them into that hell. So I recognize I have no right to be. But when a minister, therapist / friend explained to me I had been forgiven, it was like 1 second. Everything broke, and I crossed the barrier. Now I had to win my wife over. I had to get my kids to stop flinching when I reached out to them. It was, a lot. But I was past it. See, some of you, I think you're at a place where you just think, I'm always going to be this person. And the answer is you're not. You don't have to be. Why did God wait 10 years? I don't know. Maybe I would have thought it would have had something to do with it. Because I tried. I mean, there was all sorts of things I was trying. Count to 10, only made it to 3. 1, 2, 3! So then here's the rest of the story. Then those scars became a memorial. They're so faded now. I have to kind of, oh yeah, there it is. There's that one. There's this one. But it's a marker of where God showed me kindness. I was this person, now I'm this person. So for a couple of years, I would say, one of these days I'm going to put a tattoo in my hand of what rescued me. And so last September, I thought it was normal. I thought that's what people do. When you get a tattoo, you put it in your hands. Apparently that's not what you do. And here's the thing that's funny now. People sometimes ask me, as my dentist did on Wednesday, hey, what's that on your hands? It's none of your business. No, I told her. What's behind the mask? So I told her, I said, hey, well, there was this amazing Middle Eastern speaker, poet, who wrote an amazing poem about love, and this is my favorite stanza. She pulled something up. She goes, really? And I said, yeah, let me tell you the poem. It means this, and it said in the end, it's verse 8, love never fails. So I put here, love wins. She goes, wow, what's this poem from? Where is it? Well, the local pastor and the church and this and that. I love that. I love that people ask me to tell the story. Mark 5:19. There's always people that someone will say, oh, I'm this guy or I'm that person. I told folks that I think I'm a whore that cries at Jesus' feet. And then I realized I'm also this guy. If you know the story in Mark chapter 5, this was the demon-possessed man that was nuts, was out of control, self-injury, chains, nothing was helping them. Jesus comes, speaks love into his life, and he's set free. Everybody else around town wants Jesus to leave. The guy wants to go with him, thinking, I'm going to go with you. He says, oh, no, you're not going, buddy. You're staying here. You're Greek. I need someone to speak on my behalf here to the Greeks. And this is what Jesus tells him. One sentence. Go home to your people and tell them how much the Lord has done for you and how he had mercy upon you. That's what I think my job is. That's it. If you're looking for clever, you'll have to go someplace else. But I will tell you the mercy that God has had in my life and what he can have in yours. Now, let me take you to the next slide here briefly. Yes? This is the part that perhaps you could miss it when you read the story and why it speaks to me now, and I'll make another connection and we'll go to close. The Ark of the Covenant, you have to picture, have to understand that it is saying when you connect and you see God, wherever this person is going to take you, follow. Now, I recognize for some of us that's like, well, I don't mind trying to go to church on Sundays. I don't mind, maybe I'll go to a small group. Or maybe all of us have these church activities that we can sort of do. But the following, that's much tougher because those are the places in your soul that he wishes to take you that are healing. And I'm convinced as sometimes I look across the faces in the morning, I think, I know some of you are thinking, it's not going to happen for me. It's awesome it happened for you. But you don't know my story. I'm pretty sure I've lived some of it. So wherever that presence of the Lord takes you, follow it. Go with it. Why would you not go with a God that says, I am for you. I am so excited you're here. I cheered you on when you were born. When you wept, my heart broke. When you hurt yourself, I felt it. When you make dumb decisions, I was like, okay, I'll wait. And I'm for you. You cannot make me stop loving you. And on top of that, I have an ability to change you and give you the life that you dream of having, think of having. In fact, I've already prepared it for you. Just cross the freaking Jordan. I thought you thought I was going to say something else. Just cross the Jordan. Finally, last one. Close with this. So do you see what this means? All these pioneers who blazed the way, all these veterans cheering us on? It means we better get on with it. Strip down, start running, never quit. No extra spiritual fat, no parasitic sins. Keep your eyes on Jesus, who both began and finished this race we're in. Study how he did it. Because he never lost sight of where he was headed. That exhilarating finish in and with God. And you could put it with anything along the way. Cross, shame, whatever. And now he's there in the place of honor, right alongside God. So when you find yourself flagging in your faith, go over that story again. Item by item. That long litany of hostility he plowed through, that will shoot adrenaline into your souls. When you follow your God across those barriers, across your own Jordans, you will become a human being. You'll be free. You'll begin the restoration process. You'll have something to say to others when they ask, what's different about you now? And you finally have a purpose. Not just trying to fill your life with activities until you find it out. Amen.
For more information on getting connected with the Mosaic Whittier community, please visit mosaicwhittier.org.